Hey y'all, welcome back. This is Check the Rhymes, unedited, of course. I'm Shamika. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in and sit down, y'all. I debated on sharing this and I thought, you know what? There's other people that could be scrolling and looking for answers just like me. There could be so many others that may be wondering, is this the right thing? So you know how I do. I go through experiences and then I share them with you, or sometimes I jump the gun like I'm about to do and share it with you. I have decided to have a breast reduction. And don't act like y'all haven't noticed that I'm hiding it behind this microphone, but if you have seen some shirts, you can see it better than others. But I am having a breast reduction in less than a month, and I am also having a mini tummy tuck and lipo. So you're probably like, why are you doing all this plastic surgery? So here's the thing, y'all. I have heard from so many people like, yes, you're going to feel so much better. Yes, this, yes, that. And so my reasons are a little bit different. It's not for, well, yes, I want to look better. I want to feel better, but it's also a lot of it goes back to the journey that I've had with fibroids. And if you followed my journey and if you follow us over at Ladies Edition podcast, then you've already heard the whole story about fibroids. So I decided like a year ago, the breast reduction was something I wanted to do. The mini tummy tuck and the lipo kind of just happened, but I'll get to that in the story. So, and forgive me if I'm rambling because I had no real plan for this. I just sat down and decided to record it after I finished doing an interview. So, my fibroid journey really started in 2012, actually. And then I had my first surgery in 2013. So think about, before that, I had gone on a reality show to lose weight, y'all. I had gained some weight after a breakup, and plus I was partying and hanging out and drinking and in the club, whatever it is they'll say on the TikTok. But I was in my 20s, right? So to find out so I lost the weight and then all of a sudden the weight started to come back and it just kept coming back and I had this big stomach and I was like, what is happening? And at that time, my period stopped. And there was no possible way of being pregnant. So there was those concerns. It turns out it was fibroids the whole time and my body was really just acting as if it was pregnant, right? And so at that time, my uterus was the size of someone that was 5, 6 months pregnant. So you can imagine the skin being stretched, right? And then you have the myomectomy. So now you throw in like this scar, like that is similar to a C-section scar. And so what happens is then your stomach, the bottom of your stomach becomes like a shelf. So then over time, as you know, I had complications from my myomectomy, which I went through so many doctors with trying to get answers on why my leg wouldn't work the way it should. And it just basically ended up that all the medicines that each one of them put me on, I started to gain more and more and more weight. Plus, I was walking on a cane and there was no physical activity anywhere. But I made the decision to just cut out all the medicines, lost some of the weight, and went on my happy little way, gained the mobility back in my leg. And, here we are. So, but before that, right around, I think the pandemic, but before the pandemic, I noticed I was having all kinds of issues, things that I didn't realize were related to low iron and didn't know what was causing the low iron because in my mind, a heavy period's supposed to be a heavy period. Because remember, my first thing didn't happen with a heavy period. So I'm not going to go into the whole fibroid story, but just know 2020 is when I was diagnosed with the fibroids coming back. So that first time I had about 8 or 9 fibroids removed. This time, it was one of those situations where we tried a surgery, it didn't work, ultimately ended up in a hysterectomy. So, but my uterus was the size of someone that was about 8 months pregnant. So again, skin. You've got the shelf, you've got the saggy skin, and then after that, losing some weight. But the boobies never went anywhere, right? They just got bigger. So with that being said, over the course of time, I have just, I've constantly kind of hunched over. Shoulders hurt the rashes under the boobs. I spent an entire summer, I think summer of 2022 or 23. I think 22 rashes all summer. Like that is it's like you've already got the big boobs and then you put that underneath there and it was like the blistering because some doctors were giving me certain things, other doctors were doing this, and so finally it took me going to a dermatologist instead of urgent care to get the right treatment to clear that up, and it was yeast basically, and from the heat and the sweat from just girl try to work out and can't do it because you get yeast and all the stuff, a heat rash and all that up under there. It's called intertrigo. So with that being said, I just had enough, right? I'd had enough, the back pain, the neck pain, the shoulder pain, headaches. I go to yoga, so it is a whole ordeal to have to do a plank and then lower all that down and then push back up as you're doing your flow. It's a whole thing, but I got some muscles, baby. But it is a whole thing. And so when my primary care doctor, she said, I think I went to her one more time about my neck and back and shoulders hurting. And she said, you ready to do a breast reduction? And I said, you know what? Let's do it. So it took an entire year for the doctor that she referred me to get me in. An entire year, y'all. So this has been in the works since 2024. Like at this point, I was like, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to do it. And then when I walked up in that office, if you've seen again on Ladies Edition, I kind of went into this in more detail about what happened. But there was a doctor in that practice that was really rude, told me just to go lose weight. Yeah, so we're not going to really talk about that consultation. Since if you want to hear that, then go over there. I don't remember if I wrote a blog about it or not, but if I did, it's on themofochronicles.com. So I'm going to try to give you the kind of a rundown of this is kind of my vlog um, of me going through all this, right? And so that I can document it for myself, but also to help you guys that may be thinking about like, should I get a breast reduction? What are my reasons? So first off, yes, some of you may be thinking, what does a consultation even look like? So when I got to the second doctor, um, which, actually is ultimately the one that my doctor originally referred me to, that office just gave me the wrong one. So this particular doctor, is like 9 day. This man has great bedside manner. I've Googled the mess out of him. I didn't find anything bad. So, and he's a specialist. Like he is a plastic surgeon board certified. So make sure, I think that is the key. And one of the things that I have researched and learned, board certified, that's what you want, right? Okay. So during that consultation, doctor comes in, well, you've got a gown on, doctor comes in, he talks to you for a minute and he's like, what is it you want to do? Why do you want to do it? And, so it's like you have to be honest and vulnerable with your doctor. And he says, we're gonna, there's a checklist, and I actually have the checklist here to kind of go through that as to how insurance covered it. So he's asking questions to see like, am I going to try to get insurance to cover this for you? Or is this something that you're doing just because, for cosmetic reasons? Clearly not, sir. This is heavy. This feels like 20 pounds on my chest. And so, so then he brings in a nurse that's in there because he's going to look at you naked, right? So you take off your gown, you're standing there, and it's not sexual in any way. It's very, like, I was like, I don't know where to look. So I just looked up to the side, out the window, everywhere else, but like at him and at her. And he just kind of felt to see the weight. And he was like, whoa, these are heavy for your frame. Yes, I know, sir. I know. And so just to give you a little bit about this, before I was always like maybe a B cup, then I graduated to C. Once I got fibroids, I jumped to probably a double D. And over the course of the years, the last time I got measured, I was at a G. So I don't even, because my G's are now a little tight, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm probably going to go get measured before the surgery, just for my own knowledge to see what it is. But right now, yeah, it's either a G cup or whatever other letters come after that. Who knows? Maybe it's a double G. I don't know. But we're going, he measures the distance between your boobs, the nipples, and all the things. He measures all those things. And then I said, well, while I got you, while I'm standing here in all my glory, can we look at the shelf that I have from all my surgeries? And he said, sure, because I also had a umbilical hernia that came from fibroids just pushing, so that had been repaired already. So we can't do a full tummy tuck. He said he's not going to do a full tummy tuck because that he doesn't want to mess with that mesh. And I appreciate him being honest and saying that versus just saying, yes, I can do a whole tummy tuck and charge you for that. No, he was like, no, he's like, I can take off this much and pull this down and smooth this out. He's like, I get women in here all the time. And I worried that, I don't have kids. So I worried for a minute about the judgment of people, like, because I know a lot of women that have had kids go in there and they get these mini tummy tucks. And then I was like, or tummy tucks. But as I was watching a lot of YouTube videos, and shout out to all the bloggers out there because y'all are giving us the information we need. It's just some women just exercise or they've lost a lot of weight and they get that excess skin taken off. So it has taught me not to be judgmental and not be like towards myself or anybody else, because everybody has their own reason for cosmetic surgery, right? And so my reason is I just haven't felt like me since I thought once I had that hysterectomy, that my body would bounce back to the way it was before this whole fibroid journey, and it did not. It just, when I look in the mirror, I see the same thing plus extra boobs, and my clothes still don't fit. I don't want to buy new clothes. I mean, I have bought some, but I want to wear dresses again. I want to feel comfortable and look good when I go out of the house and feel confident when I go somewhere and not have to worry, do I look pregnant? Do I look like, or am I looking like a linebacker because my shoulders are broad because of my boobs? I don't want to have to feel that way. I want to be confident and love the skin I'm in, the body that I'm in. I want to look in the mirror and be like, that's her, that's me, right? And I know, yeah, I can do all the affirmations in the world, and I've tried that, but it did not help still. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna give the gift of this to myself. And so insurance does not cover the mini tummy tuck. So I said, okay, I will, let's do it. I'm open. He told me all the risks, everything that I needed to know. I asked all the questions because I'm a journalist. And I also said, well, if you're gonna tuck the bottom there, what are we gonna do about the top around here and the flanks or whatever y'all call them? I mean, I don't have a lot of love handles, but there's still a little bit there. And so he said, we can do a little lipo. And so while he has the lipo machine out, we're going to get up right in here, get that little side boob stuff going on too. So, so let me run down. So basically, once he does all that, he asked me like what size I want it to be. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but stick with me because my brain is going faster than I should have wrote this down, but I didn't. He asked me what size do I want to be. And I was like, I don't know. I just know I can't be this size anymore. I don't even know what a size C looks like or B. I was like, and I know I don't want to be an A. And so he says, I think a C would work well with your frame. So that is the goal. He's like, I can't promise it, but that is the goal. I was like, listen, child, anything except if this whatever letter I am now, I'm with it. Because now if I'm sitting here with no bra on, my boobs are on my knees, right? So listen, and you get a nice little lift with it. So they're gonna be up and perky, honey. All right. So I'm gonna go down the list of because insurance, there's this, and this is just each insurance company has its own criteria. So this is with my insurance. You've got to have significant symptoms that interfere with normal activities. I'm telling y'all, there's a whole long checklist. You have to have neck, back, or shoulder pain that's not related to other causes. Like it can't be because you lifted something, like try to lift a recliner like me yesterday. Like it can't be that. It has to be like this, and it's a specific spot in your shoulder, like in the back of your back and like your neck. There's a specific place that it's going to be hurting. And you've got to have documentation of that you've been treated for those things. Y'all, I've been to the acupuncture, the chiropractor, anybody that could help with that pain. You've also got to have, you know, if you hadn't had any of that, then you had to have non-seasonal intertrigo. I told y'all it is a whole thing. Like it's awful. And so it says that the patient's physical exam has to document shoulder grooving, and you've also got to have consistent with, like, your breasts have to have that consistent symptom. Some of these words I cannot pronounce and I'm not about to try, but you got to basically present that you would benefit from a reduction. And so you've also got to have like a certain, like, measurements have to be in place. So, like, you know, there's um numbers on here, like if you're 5 feet tall and up or under, and it has to be like specific measurements. And then you've also had to have tried the appropriate support bra, um, like ibuprofen, stuff like that, exercise, heat, and cold application. I can't tell y'all how many times I have gone to sleep with an ice pack on right here. I just did the other day, or like a heating pad. You've got to, like, for intertrigo, 6 weeks of conservative treatment, including, you know, medical treatment, a support bra, appropriate hygiene. Like, I had probably 8 to 10 weeks of treatment when they were giving me different things. And so you've got to have all this stuff. And then if your BMI is greater than 27, and I hate that BMI scale, but if your BMI is greater than 27, then you have to have legitimately tried to lose weight. And that means you've had to had an initial consultation with a physician, a mid-level practitioner about weight loss. You had to have attempted weight loss, whether it's been with a nutritionist, weight loss program, dietary modifications, aerobic exercise, and that you've made attempts to comply with that. So, baby, let me tell you what. I've been talking to my sister because she says baby about everything. Sorry, y'all. But let me tell y'all, I have gone through, like, I went to Medi weight loss at one point right after my hysterectomy. Do not recommend. But it works for some. It didn't work for me. And so getting in my own nutritionist and working with a nutritionist and having somebody be accountable, like, that has been helpful to me, because I also had to keep in check those hormonal changes as well. And that includes, like, you know, histamine responses to foods I used to love. Like, everything changed after that hysterectomy, y'all. So it was not only, it was like, I've got to keep my A1C down. I've got to keep my cholesterol down. I've got to do all these other things. Plus, I'm trying to decrease this, you know, but it just, you can lose weight in all the places you can't spot lose weight, right? You can't say, I'm want my boobs to shrink. Mine never did. So with that being said, my insurance is covering my breast reduction. For some people, I've seen that they said it takes months to get a response back. It didn't take that long for mine. It didn't even take a month at all. If anything, it just took a couple weeks. And so, yeah, so my surgery is coming up, and I am excited, but I'm nervous at the same time. And so I'm in that phase of trying to watch all the videos, make sure I have all the supplies. And so, with that being said, I am now an Amazon influencer, y'all. There is a storefront. It is called Check the Rhymes TV. So you can go there. I will link it down below. There's nothing on there yet, but I will start to put the supplies that I'm going to get to help with my post-op recovery. And one of the things that I've already purchased is a lift recliner, because I have heard that, you know, you're going to need somebody to help you get up and sit down, and that it can be difficult sometimes. And, you know, sometimes you may be at home alone and you might have to go to the bathroom, or now that lift is slow. So don't wait till you're on the brink. You got to go, like, you got to be thinking like, okay, I just drank some water. I need to go. So let me hit the button so I can start to rise up. So I do have my lift recliner in place. I have moved things so that they are, because after the surgery, you're going to be T-Rex for a couple weeks. And so you can't really lift your arms. So I'm putting things where I can reach it, where I don't have to lift my arms. And Yeah, and I'm already planning ahead for meals because protein helps with healing. So I'm going to be eating a high protein, probably low, definitely, oh, I'll continue. This is what I eat anyway. High protein, low sodium. Um, and you know, I'm not going to really restrict the carbs because I think you also need those carbs to help you with the healing to a point, like not going crazy with like bags and bags of chips and donuts and all those things. I'm not doing that. But I'm saying, I'm like, you know, if I'll eat a potato, like, you know, I'm not going to be like that, especially if friends are bringing by food. Who are me to turn it down, right? Sorry, shout out to Andrew Caldwell. Um, yeah, so if you have any questions, please drop it in the chat and or the comments, and keep an eye out. I'm going to try to vlog this process as best I can. I'm going to link the Amazon storefront below. So if you are planning to have the surgery at some point and you're thinking, okay, I need to prep for this stuff. Oh, let me back up. So I have had my pre-ops. I had the first pre-op, I guess at the 6 week mark, but this is pre-op. So this is 6 weeks before surgery. And that appointment was, I walked in and they were like, do you have the soap that you need? And I was like, the soap I need, because they gave me, I don't have the packet right here, but it was a document that had like 17 pages. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize you guys give me the soap. That's perfect. Cross that off my list. So it is basically soap that you will wash with the night before and then the morning of surgery. So I have that. And then they take you in to talk with the doctor. You guys go over the plan again. And I thought he was going to draw on me, but he did not. But what he did was pinch the mess out of me to see where, you know, where there was fat, all this. So he is thinking we are going to remove, and I'll update this later, but about 3 to 4 pounds from the chest, and then another pound of skin. The thought makes me queasy. But I'm excited. And I do know that people have said, you know, you're not going to really see that difference in what you look like for a while. You're going to experience swelling and all the things. Now, I'm also in the process of trying to find a lymphatic massage therapist because I hear you need that. But again, you have to check with your doctor because my doctor has said none of that stuff until 3 weeks post-op. I asked about a faja. He says, I prefer you in the binder I send you home with, because I'm also going to have like a compression type of surgical bra as well. No drains for the breast, but I will have drains for the mini tuck. So those won't come out allegedly until 10 days post-op. So we'll see. I'm I'm just so like, gosh, I did not expect to tear up, but I'm really excited to feel like me again. Like I really am. And I understand. And I've had many surgeries, so I understand it's a journey, but I'm already excited about, you know, looking at clothes that I might be able to wear. Shoot, some of the dresses I bought a month ago, I can't wait to put on. Right. So, oh yes. And you also will have to do, you can't shower for 3 days, I believe. And yeah, I think you have to wait 3 days after the surgery. So listen, I'm gonna put what I'm gonna buy, these little sponge cleanup thingies. I saw some other girl talk about them. I'm gonna put them in my little store so y'all can check that out if you need those. There's a list of things, and I'll come back and do another video with more specific things once I buy them. The only thing I've bought so far, gauze pads, gauze pads, gauze pads, and that recliner, the lift recliner. And I think that's all I have right now. So I still have a little less than a month to get all these things. So yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions. They do say you'll be out of work from anywhere from, I know with just the breast reduction, it was 2 weeks. So when I decided to add on this other stuff, we could be looking at 4 weeks. So we'll see, you know, we'll see. And of course, this is this has made me reflect on some of the other issues that when I thought about the body image part, that it wasn't necessarily just the fibroids. The other part of it was the comments from men. Now, I'm not doing this for them, trust. Or if I was, I would have done it a long time ago. But the comments, I don't think men realize how ignorant they sound when they say things like, "Oh, you're funny shaped. Oh, you got a big belly. Oh, you need to lose weight. You need to get in the gym." And they may not know the whole story of your history. They may not realize that you've been through some stuff. Your body has been through some stuff, whether it is you birthed triplets, whether it is you had a hysterectomy or you had endometriosis or you had fibroids, whatever your story is. Like sometimes men, shh, be quiet. You don't need to comment on a woman's body. If you don't like it, that's fine, but you don't have to talk about it, right? You especially, and I don't, I remember it was just last summer, and a guy said to me, I had on a tank top, and I was at a cookout. We just had eaten, had been drinking and hanging out all day because it was 4th of July. And the comment was, "You are too pretty to have a stomach like that." And you could have just sat there and ate your food, right? And I let that bother me, right? I let it bother me. Those comments over the years, it just kind of compounds. And it doesn't matter how many times you try to shove it down. It's like in those moments when you just those insecurities creep up. And I'm being real with y'all right now. You put on an outfit thinking you about to step out and be even like you like, oh yes, I look good. And then you step outside the door and you're like, well, he said my stomach's big, or I'd look like this or this or this. Like you don't realize the damage that you do with your words. So that is another reason. I have given too much energy and the emotional toll on men whose opinions just don't matter. And so, and I let it drown out what I wanted to look like. So it would just be me, that emotional, for a while it was, oh, I'm trying to lose weight to attract a man. Nah, I am. Once I started going to yoga, and I was like, I'm doing this because, as I'm in perimenopause, I need to have strength. I need to make sure my bones are good. I need to do strength training. So I've got the dumbbells going on, and I feel good about myself when it comes to, I got muscle. Did I tell y'all that? I got some muscle in these arms. I can lift things that I wasn't able to lift before, like me and these boobs. And I just feel like so good when I walk out of a yoga class. Like I did that. I've been consistent with it. And I just want now the mindset, I want the body to go with it, right? So now I'm in the place of where I can move forward and actually do that and feel good about it. Before, it would have definitely been just to try to attract somebody that probably wouldn't have even been around. So now I'm like, no, I'm ready to step into who I am, reclaim my body because I let fibroids control it and be the narrative for so long. Yeah, so that is my why, because it's time for Meek to feel good, look good, whatever it is James Brown says. And that is why I'm doing it. And I understand it's going to be a hard road, but you know me, I also was like, there's going to be some content too. So I'm yeah, let me know in the comments if you have done all three of those procedures at one time, because I was having a hard time finding the breast reduction mini tuck with the lipo. Um, I just want to know how it was for you. Anything you want to share, any advice, any tips, let me know, because y'all, I'm getting nervous. I'm nervous and excited and all the things. And I've seen people talk about the emotional toll of seeing, their boobs reduced. I'm like, honey, I'm ready. Like when I look down, all I see is the tip of my shoes. I'm ready to look down and see the whole shoe. Okay. Because half the time I'm like, do my shoes match? I can't really see. So yeah. So enough of that. Oh, I guess you want to know about the let me share this with you, the breast reduction. I don't have the other pamphlet, but this one just really, I mean, I could do another video if you guys want to hear a little bit more about it, but the procedure that I will be having is the I think I am doing the lollipop incision. No, I don't know. I get these confused. Lollipop anchor. Hmm. Actually, I'm doing the anchor. And it really is just everything moves up. I'm doing the anchor. I had to look at the pictures like I'm doing the anchor. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited. So thank you guys for listening to my rambling. If you haven't subscribed, hit subscribe. Drop in the comments if you have any questions, what other kind of videos you want. I also plan to do an Instagram series at some point. I'm not one of those girlies that's going to be posting videos with edited stuff of like what I look like in a nightgown, what I'm doing in the hospital, all those things. That's not going to happen here. I'm just going to tell you what happened, what's going on, all those things. And yeah, so bye.